Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every Bare Naked Lady song from 7 to Y. Although for the last few weeks, it seems like all we're discussing are covers. Maybe this week will be different. Nope. Never mind. This week we are discussing rock and roll. Remind me though, don't we discuss rock and roll every week?
It's been a long time since I rock and rolled, so.
Oh, we're discussing that rock and roll.
Well, kind of.
Oh, you mean we're not discussing Led Zeppelin?
It's been a long time since I rock and roll. It's been a long time since I did the Stroll. Not really, and not actually many lyrics of the Zeppelin.
Can we discuss Led Zeppelin instead?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So tonight joining me, I have Heidi. Thank you for sticking through the hard time.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
So, okay, I do have a question for you. Before we get into this, if you've never heard Bare Naked Ladies' cover of this song,
it sounds like this. That's what it sounds like.
and it's on Bare Naked Ladies Rock Red Rocks. Okay, Heidi, I need you to help me here.
Yeah?
I need to understand
I bounced my balls right up to my chest on that one. Jeez.
I need you to explain to me why. Explain, yeah. I need you to sum up for me why this song is so iconic. I mean, it was rated, not the Bare Naked Ladies version, but even the Led Zeppelin version, it was listed as in the 50 most exciting songs of all time and the top 100 greatest rock songs of all time at number 66. Like, I like this song, don't get me wrong, but would I say this song is iconic? I don't think I would. Like, so maybe I'm missing something. Can you?
I don't know. Like, of all of the Zeppelin tunes, and I love a lot of Zeppelin songs, I guess it's iconic as one of their most known songs.
But of the most exciting of all time, one of the greatest rock songs of all.
Yeah, I don't think it's well, maybe because it's really fast.
Yeah, I mean it is that.
I don't know. Like, I'm really not sure. Like the
lyrics aren't.
Maybe it's just
like anything phenomenal.
Aren't overly complicated. Nope.
No. And I mean the music itself is great, but it's not like extremely difficult. It's based on a very basic rock format.
I don't know. And it could be, I don't know. Maybe it's something, I don't know. It seems straightforward. Like, it's very straightforward. Like the drums are very straightforward, which is and Ed plays drums on this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is a song they like to do. They like to have one song in every show where they have Tyler come out from behind the drums and sing, and Ed goes back and does the drums. And for this tour, this was the song that they did that with. Although calling it a song is really not a service to songs, because it's not a full song. I would love to hear Tyler do a full song of this.
And it's a weird song too, because there's a mosquito in here. It kind of shifts meaning a lot of time. Like, are you talking about rock and roll from 1971 versus 1955? Are you talking about rock and roll in the terms of like a woman? Because he talks about that later. Like, I don't know.
Well, let's. Do you want to go into the lyrics?
Yeah, we can, because the BNL does not use all of the lyrics.
Correct. They only use the first verse and then
they
chorus.
use the first verse and he doesn't even say the right words. Tyler changes "let me get back" to "open your arms."
Yeah, he goes into the second,
and then they go right into the "ooh yeah" part. And so it's not really accurate. So they don't even use a lot of the song. They just kind of jam out for a bit and went with it. It's almost like it was, and they do that a lot with songs. Like all of a sudden they'll start a song and they just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
And
Tyler just likes to go out there and just have fun anyway. So if he's having fun, then the audience is having fun, and that's his kind of view on things.
Well, I mean, the overall song is a very basic progression. They do it in the key of A, and they do it at 170 beats per minute, but BNL takes it a little slower at 167 beats per minute, and they change it to the key of D, I think. But it's what is the meaning of rock and roll mean? Like, since I rock and rolled, since I did the Stroll. Now, the Stroll was a dance popular in the 1950s in the age of rock and roll, especially from 55 to 1960.
Come, let's stroll across the floor.
So is it hearkening back to that time? Because it's now 1971, obviously. So but then it's been a time since the Book of Love, which is also a famous song from the 1950s.
Yes.
Tell me, who wrote the Book of Love? I've got to know the answer. Was it someone from above? I wonder, who wrote the Book of Love?
Tell me, oh, who wrote the Book of Love? I used to love that song.
Me too.
I can't count the tears of a life with no love. Carry me back to where I come from.
So the tears line is also a reference, as I found.
Lonely Teardrops.
I Count the Tears is a 1960s Benny King and the Drifters song.
I have counted every day since you've been away. It seems like 1,000 years. And at na late at night, na late at night, I sit and count the tears.
Oh, okay. There are lots of songs from that era, like "Lonely Teardrops" by Jackie. Was it Jackie?
Oh,
shoot. Lonely Teardrops.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're saying.
I'll never cry. Lonely Teardrops. I was such a huge Jackie Wilson. Just like Jackie Wilson. I was a huge fan of 1950s music.
Oh, yeah. 50s and 60s is what I've grown up listening to.
When I was like 16 years old. And I think a lot of kids, especially because it was the late 80s, early 90s. And I went through this phase where I listened to all like 1950s and 60s music was my jam. So you name it, Buddy Holly, like I know all of that music like the back of my hand. So Buddy Holly and the Crickets, Buddy Holly, Big
Bopper,
Jerry Lee Lewis, yeah, all
Fats
of that
Domino
stuff. Fats Domino, Jackie Wilson, um my brain is fuzzy right now.
Well, the
Ricky
Drifters, the
Nelson,
Temptations,
and then moving into the 60s and the Motown movement, like those songs were such a part of what I had all kinds of different cassette tapes and records of this kind of music. So thinking of like the Book of Love, was that the Deltones? I can't remember offhand right now, but there's so much good music from that time period. And in my American History 3 music class, of course, we rip apart American Pie and we talk about Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and JP, the Big Bopper, and that time period. And again, going back to the time period, because it's very similar. Like you could probably compare this song to that song in that, like, we've moved so far away from that era. Like, take me back. Did you write the Book of Love? And do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells me so. Do you believe in rock and roll? Like, so it's really interesting because did they both come out in 71?
Yes.
I think American Pie came out in 71 too. So this is really interesting. I never even thought about that because it's been a long time since I rock and rolled, since I did the Stroll. They talk about the sock hop in American Pie. In the song American Pie, he talks about, we kicked off our shoes, dig that rhythm and blues.
Well, and the Book of Love as well.
And yeah, exactly. Did you write the Book of Love? Which is again that song. Tell me. But then, so you've got that verse, and then it's been a long time. Then, seems so long since we walked in the moonlight, making vows that we just can't work right. Open your arms. This is where Tyler steals the open your arms part in the wrong place. Let love come running in. So is it just at that time period of innocence where you would just walk and hold hands and
well, I think that he's hitting so here's my thoughts.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So also, by the way, I think Get Back is a reference to the Beatles.
It could be, yeah. Let me get back.
Let me get back. And I think Carry Me Back is a reference to early songs as well, because there's the Statler Brothers, the Rascals that have Carry Me Back, and then Ray Charles doing the old song of Carry Me Back to Old Virginia.
Oh, right. That's right.
So, I mean, any of those could have been who he was referring to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and continue, but I got to put a pin in my thought right here.
Go right ahead.
No, you continue your thought. I'll come back in.
So my thought on this, as I dug deep into it, to really try to figure it out, was I think he's making reference to both that you were talking about. I think the first verse is he was making reference to old rock and roll and getting back to rock and roll. So this came out on Led Zeppelin 4. Led Zeppelin 3 was very much an acoustic folk song type, folk sounding album.
Yeah, it was.
There's a couple of differences in there, but for the most part, that's kind of like what it was. And then, like, they got lambasted by the critics for 3, which I don't know why. Amazing album, anyways.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Immigrant Song. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
But Plant wanted to kind of prove that they could just rock out. And so this was him kind of proving to the critics, like, no, we can still get back to our roots of rock and roll. Like, this is where we come from. That being said, I think then he also went into the old definition of what rock and roll means, because from the old blues definition, like, blues singers, when they said rock and roll, really meant sex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I think that's when we get to the second verse where a lot more of those kind of references are kind of coming in.
And that's a really interesting point. I mean, they obviously had a huge influence from from the blues time period. Oh, yeah. And they also were huge fans of old folk ballads, and I'm talking old folk ballads, like the Maid Freed from the Gallows, which was an ancient child ballad. Well, not ancient, but an early there was this guy named James Francis Child, and he went over to the British Isles in I think the mid 1800s, and collected all kinds of these ballads that had gone back to the medieval period, like Barbara Allen and these stories. And then he brought them back and like gave them all numbers. And some of them were anonymous. Most of them were anonymous because it was all part of the oral tradition of handing it down from generation to generation before people could read, before the book was, or, you know, writing songs down was a thing. And Zeppelin, like they're known, I mean, they have a version of they have Gallows Pole, which is a version of The Maid Freed from the Gallows, which is an example of their use of really songs from the folk tradition of the like 16th, 17th century, 18th century. And you also have like, they redid, When the Levee Breaks, which was a Memphis Mini song about the 1927 or 29 flood of Mississippi. And so they tie themselves to these ballads and these old stories. So I kind of see how, you know, they're constantly making connections to prior time periods, and those connections, and a lot of people don't know that they're not just a rock band.
No, I mean, they take a lot of influences from a number of different places and really then make it into something completely different.
Yeah, they really did, because you think about When the Levee Breaks and the originals, and they keep the integrity of, they keep the lyrics, they keep like the 12-bar blues feel, and then, but they just take it to another level. So some have said, you know, they just like basically stole their sound from taking, but those songs would have been kind of lost. I think a lot of those songs would have been lost.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just my thought.
No. And like I said, they take it not just from that, they take it from a number of places. Like and
Jimmy Page, this is a quote I just found, which is interesting. So they've, the same way the Stones tried to be the sons, Jimmy Page said this, the same way the Stones tried to be the sons of Chuck Berry, we tried to be the sons of Howlin' Wolf, who was a very well-known blues man. So that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep, that does make a lot of sense. But I also like when in listening to "Carry Me Back to Old Virginia," done by Ray Charles.
You ought to carry me back, yeah, to old Virginia. That's where the cotton, and the corn and potatoes grow.
Like, there's listening to that version of the song, I could see a lot of similarity with how that also probably leaked into Led Zeppelin as well.
Well, from their this is another quote. This is from an article called from loudersound.com, how Zeppelin plundered music's past to create a blueprint for its future. From their very first gig, Zeppelin took what they wanted from the existing canon of music, and yet they repaid the debt by turning what they took into something more than the sum of its parts, something that lasts. So the blues songs that they played and recorded in their early years became the foundation for an entire genre of music, in reusing them and spinning them in new and unheard directions. So they were extending a tradition that had begun with the blues and folk music itself. So that, I think, like, that sums up what I had said before I read that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on the right track. And it's interesting because then on top of it, they could do some other really phenomenal music that was very inventive. I mean, I went out and listened to Four Sticks this week, and the inventiveness and creativity that they have in that song is just amazing. And the reason I listen to that song particularly is that song is directly interconnected with this song. So that song is really like the story for this song is really kind of cool. So the song kind of rock and roll kind of came about the song because they were working on Four Sticks, and they were working at it at Headley Grange Mansion. So they're working at a mansion that actually didn't even have a recording studio in it. And so they had the Rolling Stones portable recording studio with them there. But in order to do that, they actually had to have Ian Stewart from the Rolling Stones there working it.
Huh.
Well, then they're like, you know what? So when the time came for them to record this song, he was there, and they're like, you know what? We need this really amazing bluesy, jazzy type piano. Can you do that for us? And he jumped in, which is why they have Ian Stewart on this song as well.
Wow.
But this song was a mistake, a beautiful mistake, because they were doing Four Sticks, and John Bonham was just exhausted and felt like that the drum pattern for that song was just not coming together, and it was completely unplayable. He was just completely frustrated, and so he took a break and he started playing something completely different. So he started playing the riff, the drum riff from "Keep a Knockin'" by Little Richard, which you can hear when you hear.
Keep a knocking, but you can't come in. Keep a knocking, but you can't come in. Keep a knocking, but you can't come in. Come back tomorrow night and try it again.
Keep it knocking, but you can't come in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You totally hear that. I never made that connection before. Because the opening drum with that, especially that open hi-hat sound, wow, never even made that connection. But yeah, it's exactly like that.
And that's when Jimmy Page came in on the guitar part and just started filling in the 12 bars blues type guitar
Now,
part.
I'm sure you're going to add those little snips in the thing, in the.
I'm going to try. And so that was basically the bones of this song was created within 30 minutes.
Wow.
Which also might be why it kind of keeps switching up during the song about like about whether or not what the song is about, because in 30 minutes they were kind of probably all over the place in writing this and more focusing on the musical piece than the lyrical piece during it. Very well known. This was one of the big concert things that they played. But it was a really hard one to play. Like when they did Live Aid in 1985, but they obviously didn't have John Bonham because he had died. This is the first time they played it without John Bonham. And Tony Thompson and Phil Collins filled in.
Really?
Plant and Page were so upset by how that whole concert went off, including this song, that when they came back to do it again for other concerts, they're like, nope, they refused to actually do any more concerts for quite some time because they're like, this was horrible. It was a horrible experience.
Wow.
But the next three benefits that they did then had John Bonham's son Jason join on to the drums, and it went phenomenal. So they played this song specifically at Carmen Plant's 21st birthday party, Jason Bonham's wedding, at which point he got up in his tux and played the drums, and then a benefit in 2007. Like ever since then, like he has always been their go-to person.
Wow. I did not know any of that. That's so interesting.
Like the song has a really cool story to it. I like it. I still don't think it's iconic, but I like this.
Yeah, I don't think it's iconic either, but I think it's definitely, that's interesting. I did not know that.
And they said that like a lot of people out there try to play this song, and that it's basically just a two-handed shuffle all the way through, playing 16th notes.
Yep.
But it's done a little bit differently, and so it's really hard to play properly. So my question to you is, do you think, you're the musician here, do you think that Ed did it well?
I think he did it okay. He's no John Bonham.
Well, no.
But I mean, did they do Whole Lot of Love before they did this one?
Yes.
So, and Ed played drums on that before too. And but I mean, do I think Tyler would have probably done a better, but it's one of those that's just kind of fun. Like, you know, that Tyler just had a good time with it and he wanted to do it, and Ed was like, okay. But yeah, it's definitely not as tight. He does a good job though. I'm pretty impressed actually with his job on it, especially at the tempo they took it, which was pretty close to the original tempo.
Yeah, you said it was like 162, right?
Yeah, it's 167. So
167. So yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
there.
right there. It's right there. And that's not easy to do.
No, I mean, I think that is one of the highest beats per minute that we had out of any of the songs.
It pretty much is. Yeah, it's really, really fast.
I mean, the only one that I have on here that is close to that is Raisins.
Right.
So we know that Tyler can do it, but man, that's a quick pace.
Yeah, it is a quick pace. But you obviously know, you always know with them that Tyler's got to have he's definitely influenced hugely in a big way by Zeppelin and Bonham, and so you can tell that in Tyler's playing too, in some of his fills and things like that. You can hear that inspiration.
Yeah, I think Bonham and Rush would be like Tyler's major.
Oh, absolutely.
Influences.
Neil Peart, who's a god to everybody.
I think that B&L does a decent job with this.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I
think he really does. I think he's done a good job again, except for, I think the voice is okay. I think, obviously it's kind of a throwaway, just fun thing for them to be doing to get the crowd going, and just this mess up of lyric. They weren't planning on doing the whole song. It's just going to be like, let's just jam out and play Zeppelin for a few minutes, which I kind of appreciate and really kind of like, actually.
Yeah, if it's done on that level, then I like it. But I also would really like to hear Tyler doing a full rendition of this, because his voice is there for it.
Yeah. It's kind of like when Steve used to go on at the end of the set and do Memory, and he'd start right at "Touch Me." Yep. And you're like, I could hear Steve do a whole version of it. I could.
But he wouldn't. He would only do like not even a verse.
I know.
I was like, no, don't stop. Well, I don't have a lot more to say about this song.
Me neither.
It
could just be the allergies. Allergies.
Another Tyler song.
Allergies.
I think part of it is it's a cover, and it's so entirely short.
It's very, very short. It's all of 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes and 48 seconds, but most of it is them just screwing around.
So we probably should talk about them screwing around, because I mean, Tyler does a very Tyler-esque thing during the end of the song.
Yep.
Where you can't see it, but I went to this tour, and so he was dancing around and jumping and doing big bounces on the stage, and then of course he says, "I just bounced my balls into my chest."
Right.
And then does another one where I think he even landed in a split, and he's like, "Nope, just bounced him back out again."
Oh my goodness gracious. I saw that tour, but I don't remember. I don't know. I think it's just, I've seen so many, and I don't know how you keep them straight. I'll be curious to hear how Stefan and Aaron rate this.
This is Aaron's review. Rock and Roll is a cover of a Led Zeppelin song, and as a fan who considers that band to be amongst rock royalty, that's already a steep hill for the boys to climb. They seem to be just playing around and not taking it very seriously, which could count for or against them. I don't think they were mocking the song, but they definitely weren't trying to do it justice, and certainly not elevate it or make it their own. As such, I don't hate it, but it sort of feels more like a sound check or a throwaway joke than full song. It's far from the worst thing that they've ever done musically, but it didn't really capture my attention. I'd give Rock and Roll 2 out of 5. Stefan says, Rock and Roll was different. I've never really heard them rock like that. They did great. I couldn't differentiate them from another rock band. Even the singer. From talent alone, I give it a 3. For a rock factor, a total of 3.75.
Yes.
Speaking of Rich, do we want bounced balls?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
How many bounced balls?
Follow the bouncing ball.
Follow the bouncing ball. Oh my goodness. And I guess I have to go first.
So we're gonna put how many bouncing balls are we following?
How many bouncing balls are we following? Okay. How many bouncing Tylers?
So I'll have you start. How many do you think that this is worth?
Okay. So for me, this is just one of those fun things. It's not going to be one that I go seek. It's not, it's not what I consider a BNL song. Even a cover, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around because it's not quite a full cover. So it's fun and it is very reminiscent of them, and it's always nice to see Tyler do something crazy and come out from behind the kit. So I'm gonna give this a 2.7.
Okay, and I gotta say I am not far off from you on that one. There were times that I was like, do I really want this on this disc? Because it's not a full song. It's not.
But it's a live album, so.
Well, that's the thing. One, it's a live album. Two, I think the purpose that it meets for me is reminding me of all the different times that Tyler has come out from behind the drum kit.
My favorite still.
I could have totally done that, but that one's also a sight one, so.
It really is. All of the sight gags that you can't explain how awesome some of them were, like the dance break, and watching Jim and Steve. There are so many of those that you had to be there to get it.
But I think that's what this serves is like, this is a song that you could put on there and you get that feeling of those and you get reminded of those, and it brings up all those wonderful feelings of like, oh yeah, and then they did this and this.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think that when they were like, what do we put on this album? We've only got this much time left. What do we throw on there? Like, yeah, let's throw this on there. Because
why not? Right.
It's part of what we do. I think that it's good for that. But again, if I'm ranking it next to like Brian Wilson and Conventioneers, it's obviously not going to be that. I wouldn't honestly even put the original version of that there. I
have a CD that's got a bunch of their raps from various shows, and I keep every time I go back and listen to those, I get called back, I remember that part of the show. So yeah, I think you're right. I think for remembrance purposes. What did you give it?
So I'm going to give it a 2.75.
Oh, that's not so bad.
No, I think it's fun. It's good to listen to. I sometimes I'll skip it, but then it's nice to come back to sometimes and have it playing. And Tyler does a good job with it, and Ed does a good job with it. So.
Oh yeah, he does.
And the other guys do too, but I mean, those are the two that I'm really focusing on because those are that's what people remember out of this song. So. And speaking of which, obviously that's got to be Kevin playing on the guitar since we have Ed behind the drums. So
right,
Kevin does a really great job.
Does
as well.
a pretty darn good job, absolutely.
So. And the appearance for this week is, as we record this, it's NBA Finals week.
Right.
And in recognition of that, the appearance this week is Ed Robertson on the TSN show, The Basketball Show, on Edmonton 1260.
How appropriate.
Talking about the NBA All-Star Game and then playing the national anthem for it back in 2018.
Wow, cool.
So
nice connection there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a neat little interview to listen to. Nothing special, but like I said, it kind of goes along with this song, and I think probably honestly to give a highlight, like next week's song, because I personally don't think next week's song is anything special either.
Well, we shall see.
We'll see how everyone else feels about it, but you know, there are better versions of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer out there.
Oh, you just gave it away.
Yeah. I had no transition for that one. I didn't know where.
Well, what do you do with that? There's not much you can't really go from.
I could say
a
that
long time since Rudolph.
I mean, rock and roll is a classic, and Rudolph is a classic. I don't know where I could go. You know, my puns they're getting worse and worse because I'm running out of ink. But that's a few weeks down the road.
Excuse me.
Well, thank you so much for being the one person that joined me this week.
You're welcome.
You fought through your allergies.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm really glad that this is an oral audience only and not a visual, because boy, I'm telling y'all, like, you don't want to see this today.
Well, you've been fine to talk to.
Thanks. I try to, stay positive and full of joy, even when I can't breathe through my nose. Oh well.
Now, see, I could have gone there. I could have brought us to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because.
That would have been a good connection.
Yeah.
Today. Yeah, totally.
Oh well, blew that one, like I blew my nose.
Oh, gross. On that note, friends, see you next week on Hee Haw.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.